Welcome to Manchester Vibes, your one-stop channel for everything happening in the heart of Manchester. Subscribe for more Manchester United news. Man United news, Paul Pogba return claim made as Gary Neville slams weak response from club. The January transfer window comes at a pivotal time for Manchester United, who have hit a bump in the road under new head coach RUBEN Amorim while off-field distractions remain. Manchester United's issues this season haven't just been on the field, but there has been plenty of disruption in the lead-up to Thursday's Europa League match against Victoria Plzen. RUBEN Amorim suffered his second defeat in a row on Saturday, with individual errors playing their part against Nottingham Forest. The following morning, the news broke that sporting director Dan Ashworth was leaving the club after just 5 months, and just a few weeks before the January transfer window opens. While the main priority will be the midweek trip to Czechia, some around the club will have half an eye on January. It remains to be seen whether Amorim is backed in the market as he looks to get his squad in shape to climb the table, but players have been linked. We've also got a bit more fallout from the Ashworth exit, with plenty of observers having their say. Here are Mirror Football's latest lines from around Old Trafford. Pogba prediction made. Paul Pogba is a free agent after leaving Juventus, and has been linked with a third spell at Manchester United. The French midfielder, who can play again after a drugs ban was cut short on appeal, made his professional debut with the English club and made more than 200 first-team appearances after rejoining in a club record move in 2016. Pogba's compatriot Louis Saha was asked about another Old Trafford move for the midfielder, and the former United striker can see it happening. I've heard some rumors that Paul Pogba will be offered the opportunity to come back and train with Man United in the new year, and I think that would be a great opportunity for Paul, Saha told Casino Uten Spelpause. He needs to get back to his best level as quickly as possible, and training with top players will help him to do that. I think he would be thrilled to have the opportunity to go back to the club. Neville slams United for Ashworth statement. Former Manchester United captain Gary Neville wasn't delighted by the manner of the club's announcement over Dan Ashworth's exit. United confirmed the departure of the sporting director with a brief 41-word statement, not long after reports of the news first broke. The statement the club have put out is really poor, Neville told Sky Sports. Man United haven't had a voice for 10 years. They've lost their authority and their boldness. They've been getting it back a little bit in the last 12 months, but it's really clear there's a fracture here. You can't bring someone in like Dan Ashworth, lose him after 5 months and think something hasn't gone wrong. I had to quit drinking antics after joining Man United, Sir Alex Ferguson had a word. Sir Alex Ferguson was known to run a tight ship at United, and one former star has opened up about how the iconic manager interfered over his extracurricular activities. Former Manchester United star Rio Ferdinand has revealed how Sir Alex Ferguson warned him over his drinking and partying after he had just signed for the club. Ferdinand became Britain's most expensive footballer when he joined the Red Devils from Leeds in July 2002 for a little over £30 million. While the formidable central defender grew to be one of the club's finest ever players in his position, the 46-year-old has opened up on acclimatizing to the strict professional standards at United on his podcast Rio Ferdinand Presents. The former England international disclosed how his love of partying stemmed from his younger days with West Ham. However, he was granted a reality check when he signed for Sir Alex and quickly had to learn how to balance his social and professional life after the legendary Scot told him to watch how he conducted himself. Speaking with St. Housen and Joel Bea on the pod, iconic Chicago Bulls basketballer Dennis Rodman was mentioned as an example of someone who enjoyed a party-laden lifestyle but was also the foundation of huge success for his team. When Housen questioned who would fit that persona for United during Ferdinand's time with the club, the ex-lead star let slip that it would indeed be him. At one point it would be me, being the Dennis Rodman of the team, as I loved it, going on a night out, I loved it, Ferdinand said. You have to remember that when I was at West Ham it was probably the worst environment to grow up in. It was, win or lose, have a booze, if you draw, have some more. The team bus on the way home was like a pub, it was unbelievable, right? So everyone was drinking, smoking, and me and Frank Lampard used to look back going, one day we'll be back there with those guys, and then I go to Leeds and the professionalism jumps up, but we still went out. It was okay because there wasn't a game for 48 hours or more, so we went out at the right times, but we went out and had good, solid all-dayers. Anyway, then I signed with United, and I know from being with England that the United guys like to drink, but they were really conditioned and professional at the right times, not crazy, like, doing it 4 times a week. Oh, I get there, and when I first signed I got injured in a preseason game before the season started and I was out for 6 weeks. I went out every night, I wanted to see what the atmosphere was like, what the vibes were like. But the manager found out and slowed me down with one comment: "You want to stay here? You better watch what you do." Ferdinand went on to win 6 Premier League titles, 2 League Cups and the Champions League with United. However, his glittering haul of silverware may not have materialized had he not cleaned. Manchester United told Qatari bid reality amid latest Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos farce. The latest Man United news and opinion as Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos receive fierce criticism amid the Reds' poor season so far. Manchester United are still reeling from the surprise news of Dan Ashworth's departure as sporting director. Ashworth's exit from M16 came soon after United's disappointing 3-2 defeat at home to Nottingham Forest on Saturday. Forest earned their first victory at Old Trafford in 30 years to hand RUBEN Amorim his second successive defeat as Reds boss. United will now look to bounce back away at Victoria Plzen in the Europa League on Thursday as they seek a vital win in Europe to put them closer to the knockout stages. The Reds will then turn their attention towards the Manchester Derby on Sunday as they seek to avoid a 3rd consecutive Premier League loss. Sir Jim slammed. Richard Keys has slammed Sir Jim Ratcliffe's co-ownership of Manchester United, claiming that they would be in better shape under Sheikh Jassim bin Hamad Al Thani. The Qatari businessman bid for United last year when the Glazers launched a strategic review of the club. "I've said this for a year, ever since Sonny Jim rolled into town and was, for reasons unknown to me, greeted like a hero. The deal was a mess. Sonny Jim was the wrong man and what's happening at OT now is a shambles," Keys said in his weekly blog. "How many weeks ago did I post a video exposing what he's done at 2 other clubs in the Ineos stable, Lausanne and Nice? Did no one do any homework on Sonny Jim?" As Ratcliffe and the Brains Trust continue to destroy mediocre United, Ratcliffe's words in that interview last week, "Not mine, I wonder what the club would look like today if the Glazers had done the right thing and sold to Sheikh bin Hamad Al Thani. Let me ask the question again. Why didn't they? Only people close to the deal know the real answer, but some things always slip out, and I've heard that every time the Sheikh agreed to the Glazers' terms they moved the goalposts. Every time, to the point where trying to do a deal became a farce. Why were my Arab friends given the runaround? Give it some thought. The clue might be in that penultimate sentence. The ruthlessness with which Ratcliffe dispensed with Dan Ashworth is said to have deepened a culture of fear among staff at United. The Telegraph claim a dozen employees painted a picture of a tense environment in which they were increasingly looking over their shoulder. It comes amid the decision to cut around 250 jobs, more than a fifth of the workforce, in August as part of an ongoing cost-cutting drive at United. RUBEN Amorim Dream Man United swap deal includes sporting raid for star who flopped at Wolves. Manchester United head coach RUBEN Amorim could be tempted into reuniting with one of his former players at Old Trafford. RUBEN Amorim may be tempted to raid his former club Sporting in January as the Manchester United coach reportedly eyes one of his star pupils in Portugal. United's miserable form continued with 3-2 home defeat to Nottingham Forest to make it back-to-back defeats for Amorim. His reign has not started quite as promisingly as most would have expected, with the 39-year-old only winning one of his first 4 Premier League matches in charge. Amorim maintained his backing in his players to get back to winning ways, but the Red Devils are now languishing 13th in the league standings, and with every defeat, the task of qualifying for Europe next season becomes even more difficult. That could involve dipping into the January transfer market to bolster his squad, with a number of United players not performing to their highest level while others are heading towards the exit. Recent reports in the UK and Spain suggested Francisco Trincao, who currently plays for Sporting and had a brief spell with Wolves, could be the first player to join Amorim's Old Trafford revolution. The 24-year-old has been in exceptional form for the Primera Liga leaders, assisting 8 goals and scoring 3 in 13 appearances this season. He also hit 19 goals for the Lisbon outfit across the last 2 domestic campaigns, winning the title with Amorim in 2023-24. It's clear he has a strong bond with the tactician, who also handed him his debut when he was a teenager at Braga 5 years ago. And they could soon be reunited in Manchester through a straight swap deal. While Amorim originally pledged not to sign any Sporting players in January, the urgency of United's demise means he might have to break his word to his former employers. The chances are that funds are limited in January following Erik ten Hag's £220 million spree in the summer. And that means Amorim may have to get creative in putting together an attractive proposal for Sporting for Trincao. One possible deal could be to include forgotten £85 million man Antony, who was left as an unused substitute for the loss at the hands of Forest. The Brazilian winger, 24, is heading for the exit in January after managing just 38 minutes in the Premier League this season, and he may welcome the chance to play at a club who are in European competition. He also hails from Brazil, where Portuguese is their native language. Trincao's deal is set to expire in 2026, which means next summer he will have just 12 months left on his deal. With that in mind, Sporting could be willing to let him leave if the terms are right, as he revealed they are yet to open talks with the attacker. The former Barcelona winger is happy to stay in Portugal, although he admitted his future is up in the air with no renewal offer in sight.